Welcome back, everybody, to Saymore. This is Kim, the founder of My Mind, and your host for today. This is season 2, and as you know by now, season 2 is all about alternative healing, all the things that we wish we knew much earlier, but it's never late. It's better late than never. So today with me, I have a wonderful guest, Amy Pope. Let me give you a little background to her story. By now, you already know that I send a little questionnaire out to my guests so I know, the little story behind why they do what they do, what awaken them into everything that they're practicing and teaching today. And I really wanted to share this with you. So the question was there a specific moment in your life when you've chosen and shifted your life course? And I love what Amy shares. She says her mom passed away very suddenly in April 2019, and it shook her family to the core and realized quite quickly that she needed to make changes in her lifestyle in order to handle the grief. She stopped drinking alcohol, she took a step back from work and looked at where life was heading for her. She realized that it was time to follow her own path after following others for so long. Move ahead, bounce ahead, take leaps ahead, or you might just scroll ahead to 2022. But right now, Amy is a mindful movement and meditation coach, helping people tune into their awareness, connect deeply to themselves, and feel empowered to make and respond to life changes. With that, Amy, welcome to Saymore.
Thank you so much, Kim. What a beautiful introduction. And it's so funny to hear it being said back to me. I write it and I've said it to quite a few people, but I've never heard it received it. And it was really touching. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing it, because that's the reason I write the questionnaire, because it just gives you this insight into all the moments. I mean, I'm sure it's not the easiest. Today, it was easy for me to read it because I'm reading it, but it gives you a little bit of a glimpse into that, oh my God, what all happened. So if you can give us a little walkthrough in bits and pieces of how that change happened. How did you just feel that, that bam moment that, oh my God, I've got this life and am I living it my best?
Oh gosh, that's a big question, because I don't even know if I know for sure when it happened. It feels like it just kind of started to just, small step.
Yeah.
I say small steps. Stopping drinking alcohol was a pretty big change. So I suppose that was the first thing that I decided to do. And then from that, it became like a domino effect. All it started to happen to me and around me and for me, actually. And my life just started to kind of evolve and change and transform into a life that I really wanted to be part of fully. And someone said something to me really amazing, an author of a sober literature book. She said, you used your grief as rocket fuel to make a better life for yourself. And that's exactly how I feel, is that the grief pushed me into changing my life. And the idea of knowing that my mum could be proud and that I can do this, and making her death a reason, that it wasn't for nothing, because it was such a shock and super sudden, and we're still dealing with it now, 3 years down the line. And so to know that I've been able to do something from that just makes it a little bit easier. No, not much, because it's still difficult, but a little bit easier to live our lives and make her proud.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful, because I think, no matter how much we think that there are ways to handle grief, and I was discussing this with a client yesterday, that it comes and goes. It never really leaves us. You're never really healed of it. But if we find something to connect to the energy, the soul of the person, something that you create purpose out of it, like yourself, then it hurts a little lesser, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So like you said, grief is a very complex subject. It's everyone experiences it slightly differently, because we are unique individuals. Even in a family unit, each person in that family can respond in a very different way. depending on the relationship, depending on what the situation was at the time. So yeah, it's such a complicated subject. So definitely that kind of stepping back, if you're able to, finding that space to be able to look at how you are working with this grief and seeing how your coping mechanisms, what they are. You know, for me, I realized that alcohol and food were not going to be very good for me. So I changed that. And it did make a big difference. I was able to work through it much more healthier. So it becomes a much more healthier coping mechanism, because grief does, I don't think you can even put a time limit on grief. It just is there, you know, it's a part of you that you've lost. And I don't think it ever truly goes. So learning from it, and finding something that you can do in a positive way can really help ease that grief a little bit.
I love the way you chose the word that, you know, you find your coping mechanisms. Do you think that for you, it became even more important to choose a different coping, you know, mechanism? Because all of us, more than often, when you said, you know, alcohol and food, we all have a coping mechanism that is conditioned us. Like for me, coming from an Indian family, we connect with food when we're happy, when we're sad, when we're celebrating. Even after someone's wake, you still go and have, you know, there is a catering that's done with snacks and bits and, you know, things here and there. So when did you consciously choose that food and alcohol is not going to be the automated coping mechanism, but you're going to move and find something else?
The good question is, the food was a strange one, because I love food and I still love food to this day, always. And it was when I started to realize that everything, because I kept eating and eating and eating and eating, like constantly eating. And it was a moment where I thought, hold on, I'm still feeling so empty. And there was nothing that was stopping the emptiness. And it kind of was just conscious. I'd already stopped drinking at this point. So it was alcohol first, and then the food kind of tapered off from that. And I'm like, no, this isn't actually, I'm not hungry. This isn't filling any hole. I am just genuinely empty from grief. And it was quite an eye-opening moment for me. Eventually, a few months after stopping alcohol, I actually became vegan. So I'm now a vegan as well. And that just all happened naturally, you know. And the alcohol, it was, you know, I'm from the UK, you know, British culture is very much kind of a drinking culture. And so we always go to the drink to cope. And I realized quite quickly, very quickly, that it was just not doing me any favors. I was not happy. And I like to be happy especially when I was drinking. I associated alcohol with fun, not with loss and sadness. So I read a book which was called How to Quit Drinking, or How to Stop Drinking, I think it was, by an author called Alan Carr. And that was it. I stopped drinking, but I already knew that I wanted to stop. And I also didn't know if I'd ever start again, and I just haven't wanted to. I just really haven't wanted to. I've tried it, you know, I haven't shied away. I've had a couple of sips just to see if I would like it, and I haven't even liked it. The taste just goes away. I'd rather drink.
It doesn't connect, right? It's very interesting, because when I'm hearing what you're saying, I get a sense that there is this head or this energy that is still, it's not drowned in the water of grief, of pain. So were you always like that, Amy? That you had that in whatever was happening, probably, I'm sensing that your mind space still had that awareness, which is great, which many times people just get flung into it, and then, you know, it's difficult and it has its own process. But from what you're telling me, that you made that choice, you had that awareness. So were you always like that, or there was something you were doing, or something was pushing you, nudging you to keep your head above the water?
Gosh, I wish I knew the answer. I feel like it has always been there within me. but it was that trigger that kind of set everything off. Respond, and to respond in a way that was healthy. I remember the flight over to Australia and just kind of feeling all these different griefs and watching lots of Marvel films. They were my savior on that flight. And I remember when I saw my family and they said, "Oh, you're so calm." And I think I brought a sense of calmness to the proceedings, to the, you know, the situation, which is my natural way of being without me realizing it a lot of the time. And I didn't realize it until after I stopped drinking, that actually that is my natural way of being, is to be a calm person, to be compassionate, to be there for others. And yeah, just,
I know, that's wonderful. I can sense that in your energy right now. So then jump us right into the phase where you chose, you know, to become a meditation teacher. You chose movement. You know, to everyone listening, I love the word movement. I mean, for years on, it was exercise and, you know, the heavier words. And probably 4-5 years ago, my spiritual teacher introduced us that movement is such feminine energy. And movement is fun. I think it's so embodied. When you tell a woman to move, it's like, it just automatically comes in. We don't go like, yeah, let's do that. You know, so walk us on your journey to choosing being a movement coach and a meditation teacher.
I love everything you just said about exercise and fitness and things like that. Because I used to always do the cardio and things like that, and exercise classes, Zumba. I love a bit of Zumba back in the day. But yeah, so what happened is I decided to, when I took my break away, I thought, okay, what do I want to do? And I didn't really know. I was doing yoga a lot. I was focusing a lot on myself, you know, looking after me and seeing what I could do. And so I started to be a life coach. I did that. And then was doing that for a while, and I still obviously do that. But I had discovered meditation very quickly after I'd made these changes in my life. So I remember going to a Friday night meditation session here in Dubai with a couple of friends, very different Friday night to what ones I used to have. And it was just incredible. We had a really, it was a wonderful experience, and it just really ignited my kind of love for meditation. So that I became very into that world. And this kind of course came up again in Dubai, and I thought I'd love to go on this. It was like a 4-day course in person, and the reason being was to, you know, I can help others in my coaching, you know, not to actually facilitate it. I had no thoughts on that at the time until we got there, and it was just like, wow, it was just this incredible course, and quite intense, and we all went quite deep. We had to facilitate, and I was very scared and nervous because I don't like using my voice. I didn't then. It was a big fear of mine. And but yeah, then I kind of found my voice there. It was like a real opening of my throat chakra, and it was quite wonderful. And as I said earlier, things just started to happen when I became more open to what the world had to offer. And it wasn't long before I was working at a wellness centre and offering meditations there. And in the meantime, I had also come across shaking. So I previously discovered kind of shaking movement, and I hadn't realised quite how incredible it was. I knew Osho did it, and I knew that it featured in qigong, but I didn't know much else. I just knew these, you know, these words. So I developed my own kind of shaking class, and we did that a lot online, especially during lockdown. Did a lot of it online. Still do some of it now as well. And so that was really the movement of the body. That's where that all kind of started, kind of stemmed from. And then then it just kind of, things just happened, and I discovered qigong because obviously I love shaking. It seems like a natural progression, and qigong has been just the most wonderful practice that I've discovered and now share here in Dubai. So that's why I kind of describe it as mindful movement, because it could be qigong, or it could be any type of free movement as well. So my class that I actually developed was much more kind of a free movement, no real restriction. You can really go for it however you want to. And yeah, and now I'll be hopefully sharing active meditations in September, which will be, again, more movement, more active, more just moving your body and letting everything come out, releasing the stuck energy that gets built up. Because shaking is probably one of the oldest and most easiest thing we can do. And it's natural.
Yeah.
Do it. You can just do it now and you can feel good.
Exactly. And that's so much fun, because you're like, what is this? Just let it out, you know? It's so much fun. It's so much easier. And then whatever's sitting in, you know, the immediate auric information, it can drop off. You don't have to carry it.
Yeah, it's an instant release of your own energy and other energy that you can pick up as well. And I love it. I always have a smile on my face. You can get quite very deep as well. You know, it depends on your own journey and where you want to take it at any given time. So it's a very personal practice, I find.
So tell us a little bit more about, you know, the qigong experience, if as an alternative therapy to living, as a therapy to enhance one's life. You know, give our listeners and viewers on YouTube as well a little walkthrough to what happens, what's a normal session like, what's a little background about it, and anything else you'd like to share.
Yeah, sure. So qigong is a very ancient health and wellness practice originating from China thousands of years ago. And it has kind of 3 ways you can maybe practice it, which is martial arts, which a lot of people recognize maybe qigong or Tai Chi as. A lot of people think qigong is Tai Chi, so I'll get into that bit in a second. There's spiritual connection, and there's the overall health and wellness. It's very much kind of a preventative form of health, well-being practice. The idea is that we're working with our energy, so our internal energy that's within us. Qi means energy in Chinese, and spelt Qi, but pronounced Chi. Qi. Gong is work or skill. So we're basically developing a skillfulness with our energy that's within us. And then what we do, we kind of move with this energy. So we activate the energy, we find it in our body, and then we move with it and let it go with the flow. So a typical session will involve breath with gentle movement, stretching, activation, warm-ups, and ending with a meditation, usually at the end. And the purpose is when we put intention into it. So we're putting intention with the breath and with the movement. So we can then move with the qi, move it with us into and around our bodies. It works with our emotional state, our emotional well-being, our physical well-being, and our spiritual well-being. When I discovered it, it just felt like I'd been elevated to the next level of wonderment and awe. I've loved yoga, have loved yoga for years. But when I discovered qigong, it was just the lightness you feel, the calmness you feel, the feeling, and you still feel very powerful from it too. So it has all these incredible benefits, and you barely feel like you're doing anything. That's quite incredible. But yes, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I work with children as well and adults, so I kind of work. You can do qigong at any age. That's one of the most amazing things, and also you can adapt it to any situation. So I do seated qigong, for example, and I work with children, so I'll adapt that for them, because children, their concentration isn't always fully fixed, so you adapt it to suit the group. And that's been quite fun and entertaining and different. But ultimately, it's about finding your energy. I mean, you work with energy, so you already know this. But maybe for the listeners and the viewers, one amazing way we can activate our energy is by rubbing our fingernails.
Oh, it's interesting, because this was something I read years back when I was in college, and that is years back, that when we do this, whatever it's creating, it helps your hair growth, it helps your skin get far more luscious. I don't believe from which school of thought this was, but I remember reading this back when I was in school. So when all our friends would sit and we'd just be like, whiling away time, but getting our nails rubbed this way.
Amazing. And so these are the tips of our meridian points and the tips of our fingers. So it's like the end of our meridian points. And that's what I work with a lot with qigong. It's part of the Chinese medicine traditions, which there are 5 of, which you have qigong, tai chi, you have nutrition, you have herbs, you have acupuncture, you have massage. And the school of thought with the Chinese medicine is very much that you go deep into the energy layer. You don't look at just the physical issue, you look at everything within. And it resonated with me so much. And just it feels, when you know how it feels, you just know. It's very difficult to describe it, and it's much better to experience it. And there are people that have never felt their energy before, never felt their life force energy. And so when they do, they're like, oh, yeah, it's quite incredible to know that they have this amazing electricity power, pumping through their veins that just lies dormant until we activate it.
Wow. I'm going to sign up for your class for sure. Amy, you wrote in the questionnaire that I asked you, what is, again, the question that I asked was, what is your uniqueness, and feel free to gloat about it. You spoke about your story about finding your voice. Tell us a little more about that.
Yes, I mentioned it a little bit earlier with the meditation course. So since I was a child, I had speech, I don't want to say issues, but some trouble with my speech. So I went to a speech therapist when I was young. I couldn't say the, so I would say the, and also my S's were very, very like. So we call it a lisp, and I have had that. And the speech therapy was amazing. It really helped, honestly. Send everyone to that. If you ever want to help with any kind of speech issues, speech therapy is incredible. And I did it at a young age. But I typically, for some reason, I missed the last few lessons. I wish I hadn't, because then that I still kept a lisp, what I felt like I had. It stayed with me all my adult life. Most of the time I forgot I had it, but then someone would remind me. Someone would say, oh, you got a lisp. And thanks for that. So I kind of found that it was a negative trait of mine and not a positive trait. So I'd always think it was a weakness, and I struggled with speaking in public, speaking to big groups of people, even small groups of people. I really struggled.
You all that, people reminding you that, hey, you have a lisp, even an element of it. It's so interesting the way you're narrating the story, because it's drawing me, this visual story in my mind. And I'm saying that, okay, young girl going and forgetting that this exists, because it's who you are, and someone comes back, hey, you have this, and it just goes, shut up, quieten down, stop talking, shut your mouth, don't speak, don't share. And that's ridiculous, but that happens so often, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it took a long while for me to kind of love my voice, and it's only really been the last couple of years, really, and I'm like well into my 40s now. And what helped me was starting to do voice notes to people. So how we can do voice notes on WhatsApp. That really helped, and listening to myself back to just get used to how I spoke. And then I was able to then do a little bit more of the meditation group things, and then the response was so different. No one said, no, you have a lisp, but everyone said, oh, you make me feel so calm, and you have such a calming voice. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I have a soothing voice. And so now I feel I love my voice now. I'm happy with it. I know I have that tiny little thing going on, and it's part of me. It's who I am. and I don't want to change it.
And it's lovely that you mentioned that you stayed the same person, but the environment changed. The people you shared your vibe with, your voice with was different. And that changed the way we look at ourselves, don't we?
That's such a good point, that changing the environment. The comment that I remember, I still remember to this day, was in my old life in London, insurance world, drink fueled people, it was a very different kind of world. I'm not judging anyone being in that world, because I was part of my life for a long time. And then moving into a world where people were, it's much more about, tenderness and caring and love, and we can support each other. It's a beautiful world that we work in, and very happy.
Exactly, right? When you just shift to the right vibe of people, everyone's there to reflect what's going on inside. So when they don't see their faults as a fault, but they see that as, okay, that's opportunity, I'm going to work on it, or that's who I am, they don't project that onto others. It's beautiful. Amy, thank you so much. I love your energy, your voice, your presence, your story. Thank you so much for joining Saymore. Please share with everyone tuning in or watching the video. Where can they find you? What are the classes? Where can they join you for online or offline classes? And, just connect with your amazing stuff.
Oh, thank you, Kim. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this. And thank you so much for having me. So yes, to share where you can find me, I'm away for a few weeks. I'm back in September. I work at Just Be Wellbeing Centre in
the biggest place. My book is there.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful. I'll have a look.
Wait. The intention book.
Is that your book?
It.
I love that book. Oh, we have it on. It's on the front desk every day.
I know.
Take photos of it. Oh, so yes, you can find me there. I do my sessions there, classes and events regularly. That's pretty much where I am mainly. But also for the people that live near a motor city, I do a class of qigong there in a lovely, amazing martial arts studio called Evolve, who I work with too. And I'm also available for one-to-one sessions, online and in person, coaching, meditation, whatever is needed, really.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone joining in, once again listening. I hope you've been inspired. And there's so many nuggets of faith, of trust, of looking for a better way, for looking for an authentic way from Amy's life right here. So have a big life, say more. And before you go, Amy, the podcast is Saymore. What, according to you, should people be saying more about?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Me with that one. More about love, passion. Yeah. Being there for each other, supporting each other, holding
the right environment for others, right?
Yeah. Being in the right environment for others. Don't be afraid to make changes in your life. Don't be afraid to step away from the crowd, because the crowd that you're used to, because there's always going to be another crowd, another environment that might fit.
Beautiful. Well, thanks a bunch, Amy, and thank you everyone joining. And until the next time, say more, live a big life, and keep shining. This is Kim signing off for now. You can catch this on Spotify if you're already here, or Apple, on Anchor, or go to the YouTube channel so you can look at our beautiful, beautiful faces. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks, Amy.